How you doing, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, whichever it may be. Now please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button if you do like this kind of content. As you can see today, I'm taking a look at the new Star Wars Han Solo figure from Return of the Jedi by Hot Toys, and just having a quick look at the box. You can see we have an image of Han Solo on the front, the figure itself. And in usual Hot Toys Star Wars fashion, we have a banner at the bottom of the box with an alternate look for the figure on it. Just having a look at the side, we have another image of the figure that's connected to the banner. And then on the back, in usual fashion, we have details about Hot Toys and then some warnings. So without further ado, let's get this guy out of the box and get into the details of him. And the first thing I'm presented with when I open the box is this art card. It's not bad. It's not the best I've ever seen from Hot Toys. It's nice enough. It's an image of the figure with a kind of Return of the Jedi themed background in it. Like I said, not the best I've ever seen, but it's not too bad. And then when I pull this down, you can see that we are presented with the figure and all of the accessories inside the box. So let's get him out and we'll punch in. And in my usual fashion, we'll just have a quick pan before we get into the accessories and all of the details. And I'll just start at the bottom and we'll have a quick look at his base. Not a bad base. It has some details to it, as you can see. We'll get into it a bit more in a few minutes. But you can see on the nameplate there, we have Star Wars Han Solo written on it. And moving up, we'll just have a quick pan up at the details. Nicely detailed. Tailoring is fantastic on it. And you can see we have his blaster in his hand, and we have a quick look at the head sculpt. Bit of controversy about this head sculpt when it first came out. The hair was an issue, and the frown or the lines in his forehead were a bit controversial. I have no problem with the hair. I'm not a big fan of the frown or the worried look he has on his face with those lines in his forehead. But we'll get into that one in more detail when we get into the head sculpt. So here we have all of the accessories that come with him in the box. And starting off with his base. I don't normally show the base when I'm doing the accessories piece, but because this base is so intricate and so nicely detailed, I figured I would put it into my accessories part. As you can see, it is Endor themed. We do have some foliage here, we have some leaves, we have some rocks, and we have a bit of a tree stump at the back there. You might notice that there is 2 plug holes for the stand to go into. This is a new thing from Hot Toys. I've never seen this before. You can have this stand in different places, which is I like it. I like to have the options. You can have it facing forward with the nameplate, or you can put the nameplate to the back and show more of the foliage and the detailed area. You know, the Endor themed base kind of facing forward to show more of those details. So it's a nice option. I wish Hot Toys would do more stuff like this and innovate, you know, the way they have. So yeah, I'm happy that they've done that. I was a bit kind of perplexed when I first seen it, but I get what they've done. You can see we have these rocks here that do cover up the plug holes. So, and you get 2 of them, so you can plug both of them. Does that go in there? It's having a bit of trouble getting that to pop in. No, it doesn't pop into that one. It goes into that one there. And then this one here goes in here. It's a bit tight, that one there, actually. It doesn't quite fit. I'm gonna have to push that a little bit harder to get it in. There we go. So yeah, you can cover both plug holes and have them standing there without the support, without the crotch grabber, if that's what you want to do. It's not something I'd be inclined to do. I don't quite trust my figure standing freely, but you have the options. There's three options there. Either have the crotch grabber at the front or at the back, or no crotch grabber at all. He also comes with this log from Endor, as you can see, very nicely painted. It really looks like a piece of log. Different textures to it, different colors in it. There's wash in it. It just sits on the base as well, and just adds even more detail to the Endor theme, to everything, which is fantastic. It looks great. I'm so happy that Hot Toys have gotten rid of, well, starting to get rid of those rectangular shaped bases. But my only kind of gripe with the base, it's a nitpicky, but they should have themed the whole thing as Endor, and had some vines coming up over the sides and some foliage coming up over the sides, because there's a bit of a contrast between this mechanical bottom half of it, you know, the raised portion of it, you know, it's like a ship base, or you know, and then having the Endor theme on the top of it. I would have liked to see the whole thing with an Endor theme, but it's nitpicky. It's great that Hot Toys have done this to it and themed it like this, slightly diorama-ish. I hope they do more stuff like this. It adds to the figure. And it, like I said, it's time they got rid of those rectangular bases for the Star Wars figures. So then we have his blaster. It's his Return of the Jedi blaster. It's, you know, it's different to the blaster he uses in the previous movies. Not as detailed. It doesn't have the wood grip. You know, it's shorter kind of scope on it. There's a little bit of washing, a little bit of weathering, but it's not as detailed as I would have liked it to have been. But we know it's Han Solo's blaster. It does the job. And then we have his hands, and all I can say is wow. The hands are so well detailed. They are, in my opinion, the best hands Hot Toys have produced to date. They look absolutely fantastic. I'll just grab one of them there, and you can see how much detail is in them, if I can get it to focus. There we go. It has vein work in them. There's wrinkles in the knuckle area. There's the cuticles in the nails. The speckling. They're really, really nice, and they look age appropriate for Harrison Ford at the time. They're not just generic hands, you know. They're age appropriate for Harrison Ford at the time. So thankfully they've made the hands to match Han Solo at the time, or Harrison Ford at the time. They look absolutely incredible. The detail in them is second to none. Really like these hands. The hands on Han Solo, haha. There are absolutely zero complaints with these. And each hand is unique. We have a trigger hand here. We have two relaxed palms that are not carbon copies of each other. They are slightly different gestures. We have two open palm gesturing hands, which again, they are not the same. They are different hands. They are two completely different gestures, which is amazing. You know, it's great that Hot Toys are really kind of showing more detail in their hands. And the other two hands are different, obviously, as well. So kudos to Hot Toys for giving us more detailed individual hands for each mold. And then finally we have his coat, his Endor coat, or jacket, duster jacket, I don't know. I'm going to call it a coat. It's completely on point. It looks exactly like it did in the movie. The camo print is exactly in the right places, as far as I could tell from looking at photographs. Doesn't have any lining in it. Not necessary. It's quite a light coat that he was wearing in the movie. So if they'd aligned it, I don't think it would have sat right. It wouldn't have looked as light as it was. It would have looked heavier. So it's a little bit rigid. I am interested to see how it'll look on the figure. It's a little bit rigid. I'm thinking I might have to steam it just to soften it a bit. I will put it on the figure a bit later on, and we'll have a look at it in greater detail actually on the figure. But there are some details on it there that I never noticed in the movie. You can see this little platter patch here that's on the collar that I just hadn't noticed before. It's definitely the right length. The stitching is absolutely perfect on it, and I'm delighted that we have this. I don't think I'll be posing them with this coat on, but we'll have a look at it on them later and I'll make that decision. So moving on, we'll have a look at the figure itself. And here we have Han. It's pretty much straight up as he comes out of the box. So in my usual fashion, I'll start from bottom to top, and we will start with his footwear. Usual Hot Toys Star Wars fashion boots, they are completely pleather, and unfortunately, unless they're looked after, they are going to deteriorate over time, as a lot of the Star Wars Hot Toys boots for Star Wars do over time, if you don't take care of them, that is. You can see they are movie accurate. They do go up to his knee. There's quite a bit of speckling and a bit of weathering on the front of them there and up the side, which is, fantastic. It adds that bit more realism. If they weren't speckled, they would look very, very fake, if you ask me. Just adding that little bit more realism to them, which is a great little touch. And I will mention that this is the only bit of weathering that is on the guy. There's no more weathering on him. Is it necessary to have any more weathering on him? I don't think so. So moving up to his trousers, you can see we have his, again, movie accurate trousers, the yellow print running up the side of the brown trousers, completely on point. The stitching is very, very nicely done, scaled down perfectly. Unfortunately, if you want to make this into a Bespin Han, you're going to have to change those trousers to navy. You can see on the side there we have his blaster there, and it snaps closed there on a magnet, which works quite well. I have holstered the blaster, as you can see. The holster is completely pleather, guys, 100% pleather, which a bit of a bummer. I'd like to see Hot Toys just stepping it up now at this stage. And, for longevity of these figures, just make some of this stuff out of leather. It's possible. It can be done. The buckles on the belts are done quite well. They're plastic, but they have a little bit of speckling and a bit of kind of weathering done to them, which again adds to the realism and looks really nice. And then all of these pieces here are all molded in plastic. I'm not sure what they're all, just these bits and bobs. I'm not sure what they're for exactly, but they are all molded into the belt. Is that a droid restraint? I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, and then on this side here we have another device, which I have absolutely no idea what it is for. It clips onto his belt like so, as you can see. Is that a communications device? I'm really not sure what that is at all, but it's staying on there regardless. And then above his holster belt we have his trouser belt, which again is made out of pleather. Does the job. It's going to be hard to keep unless it's looked after again. But yeah, as I said earlier, there's no weathering on this figure. Whether it's necessary or not, that's up to you guys to decide. I'm not sure whether I would have liked to have seen a bit of weathering on it or not. I really don't think it's necessary. But moving up to his top half, we have his movie accurate body warmer or waistcoat, black, and it's not lined, doesn't need to be. Fits, contours to the body and forms to the body really well. It's tailored really, really nicely. And then beneath that we have his, in my opinion, movie accurate shirt. It's not quite white like in the previous movies. It is a slightly off-white colour, which, if my memory serves me correct, that is exactly the colour of the shirt he was wearing in Return of the Jedi. It was slightly off-white, unlike, like I said, his previous outfits. So there we have the actual figure itself and the details for the figure. So what I'll do is I'll get this a bit more stable and we will get in a bit closer and have a look at this head sculpt in detail. Actually, before I do that, we will have a look at him posed up with the coat on. And I have to say, I didn't expect to like the coat on him so much before I put it on. But I have decided, looking at this, I do like the traditional look for Han without the coat on, you know, that shows more of the details of the very well detailed outfit. But this looks absolutely fantastic with the coat on. It really, really screams Return of the Jedi for me. So I think I'm going to actually leave this coat on him for posing. Something I forgot to mention when I was going through the coat earlier is it is wired. There is a wire running up the side and the bottom, so you can kind of get some dynamic posing. Now, it's not the strongest wire in the world, but it can be posed. You know, the coat is light enough that it will kind of hold a little bit of a dynamic pose out of it if you so choose. You know, if you want to kind of avail of those wires, it's not absolutely necessary to have them, but Hot Toys put them in, and it's a nice little detail for Hot Toys to add, and a nice way, you know, a nice option for posing. This button here, the back of it here, does unsnap, and I probably shouldn't open it, but I'm going to. If I can get it to just open without ripping off. There we go. It does open up just to give it a bit more, you know, more range of movement is the best way I can put it, but it doesn't look the part for me. So for me, I will be leaving it buttoned up, as to me it just looks more accurate. It is a bit rigid. I probably will steam it before I put it, you know, take it off him and steam it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave it on him. A little bit of futzing obviously is needed to get everything, you know, looking right and sitting right. But there you go. There he is with the coat on. And yeah, I really like him with the coat on. It really screams Endor, you know, Return of the Jedi for me. It looks fantastic. It just adds that extra dimension to the figure, and those pockets are functioning. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So moving on, let's get a close-up on this head sculpt. And here we have the head sculpt up close and personal. I do want to mention straight off the bat that I hate these new Hot Toys peg connectors or neck connectors, whatever you call them. Most of the time when I put the head sculpt on, I have a tendency to knock the eyes out of sync. It's a bit of a nuisance. I really would like Hot Toys to kind of reevaluate these neck pegs, these new neck pegs. And I think those little wings that stick up at the top of them are eventually going to break on some people's figures as well if you're not careful. If you don't line that up right, you're going to break them off. But the head sculpt, to date, this is absolutely the best head sculpt for Han Solo in 1/6 scale. Absolutely, it blows any previous one out of water, and so it should. It's been many years since Hot Toys done a Han Solo, so it should absolutely blow any of the older ones out of water. I do hope we do get more Han Solos in the future. I would like to see a Bespin Han, and maybe a new updated disguise Han with the smirk would be incredible. But just having a quick look at the details of the head sculpt, you can see that he has his signature Harrison Ford scar under his chin, as he should have. He has quite a lot of speckling to him. There's a texture to the skin. You know, he does look that little bit older because he was in Return of the Jedi, and they've pulled that off quite well. He looks about the age he did at the time. The creases in the forehead, I'm going to jump straight up to them. I'm not a big fan. I looked at pictures online of Han. There are some pictures where he does have some lines in his forehead, but not as defined as that. It makes him look like he's worried. It makes him look like he's stressed out. It limits your options for posing. He just can't. Every pose you put him in, he looks a bit stressed out. and takes away from that kind of fun, you know, kind of scoundrelly look that he had, you know, where he was witty, he was, you know, passive aggressive, he was, you know, it just takes away from it. His eyes, his eyebrows are all done really, really well. Just moving around to the side, again, side profile, looks like Han Solo, looks like Harrison Ford. Looks great. I do like the way the neckline blends into the neck peg. The jawline there, it blends in really well. You know, it almost looks seamless. It looks really nice. It's kind of hidden the join between. It's almost hidden the join between them anyway. It does have a slight little 5 o'clock shadow going on there. There is a little bit of detail in that, which is nice to see. But you can see the texture in the skin and how lifelike it looks. From every angle I look at it, I can see Harrison Ford, I can see Han Solo. It absolutely looks the part. Looking at the hair, usual Hot Toys hair, done extremely well. The moulding, the sculpting, nobody does sculpted hair like Hot Toys. It always looks fantastic. You can see the separate, you know, strands of hair. I know there was some controversy when this was first announced about the hair looking too puffy and kind of looking like he had a puffy wig on. I can tell you now in hand, it absolutely is not the case. It looks perfect. It looks on point. And I don't know if Hot Toys fixed it from the original pre-order images that they first put out when they announced it, but it certainly doesn't look like the pre-order pictures. As you can see, the colour of the hair has this kind of metallic-y, bronzy kind of effect to it to make it look like when light hits it, you know, it looks like it's hair bouncing off light. I'm not sure if that effect can be achieved any other way. It's okay. I'm going to say it's okay, but you can see the way the light catches it, and you know, it does change, and it does look like light catching the hair. It does look great, you know, for the effect, but it does have this bronzy effect to it. You can see at the bottom of the hair where it gets into the shadowed area underneath, and it has changed colour. It has a darker shade on the bottom of it, which looks great, and it has kind of a deeper brown wash running through it, and the separation in the hair strands look really, really good. And at the bottom you can see it is all staggered. It's not just cut straight across, it is kind of staggered, and just adds that little bit more element of realism to it. Yeah, no complaints about the hair, to be honest. So the hair controversy is not necessary. Just having a look at those wrinkle or creases in the forehead, like I said, not the biggest fan. They could have toned that down just a little bit more, and it would have taken that worried look off his face. But not the end of the world. It's still Han Solo, it's still Harrison Ford, and it's still the best head sculpt that we have to date of him. So there we have the Han Solo from Return of the Jedi, guys. Thanks for watching. Please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe, and keep your eye out for future content. Thanks very much, and take care.